Ready to roll into the second quarter in Van Andel Arena as we step inside the huddle there of the Rampage of Grand Rapids. 14-6, Rampage on top. You know, Dazell, all passes. It's interesting. Indiana opened up with a big run against Tampa Bay. First play from scrimmage last week. And, of course, Grand Rapids, big 34-yard run by Chris Avery. Neither team has run the football here so far this afternoon.
That's a shame.
Little dump pass. That's Tony Bowick. We talked about him at the top of the broadcast. He's got some green in front of him. The big guy is lumbering in for the touchdown. He had 8 grabs, 3 for touchdowns. There's a biggie right there for Grand Rapids. Tony Bowick, 9th year out of Tennessee Chattanooga, a one-time Albany Firebird.
Well, we just mentioned the running game. This is as close to a run as you can get. It's beautifully set up as far as the screen goes. The big fella works out there. Looks like he's been in a factor-back club, but comes to the side. And what I'm impressed with was his running instincts. Gets to the sideline, waits for his blocks, and watch Marshall come in here. Wham! Makes the key block for the big fella to get in there.
And the booing that you're hearing is they're calling it back. There's a hold on, so they're bringing it back inside the 15-yard line.
Let's see if we can see the hold down here on the bottom of your screen.
Oh, that sprung them right there, just over the 20-yard line.
Right there on Hopkins. I mean, yeah,
hard
I think
to see
if you don't have
angle.
the jersey pulled out another over 5 yards, you're right.
Well, it added some excitement as Bowick, but nullified the touchdown, so he still has 3 this year.
You know, though, let's file that, though, as far as Greg Hopkins. I mean, flying to the football, being in the right position, and, you know, trying to fight to get the football, forces that holding play, and the ball gets called
What's
back.
Michael Trigg thinking of there? I mean, how often do you spring your tight end for a long gainer like that?
You know, especially when you're up by 8. I mean, that can, in a sense, be an emotional backbreaker, even though it's early in the game. And, you know, now it's kind of reversed. You know, now the momentum goes back to Indiana, and you lose that momentum that you thought you once had.
Well, Michael Trigg opened the playoffs last year in Nashville, but boy, they were really dinged up at the time. Now, top seed on top, all alone. Ricky Ross over the midfield stripe, dives down close to the 20-yard line. So up 14-6, the Rampage continue to move the chains. Well, tomorrow night on ESPN, it's NFL preseason action as Keyshawn Johnson and the Tampa Bay Bucks host Miami. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern with Monday Night Countdown. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Those guys are busy campers. We just saw them do the Minnesota Viking game with New Orleans from San Antonio. Twin receivers now, bottom of your screen, Dazell. Checks over the defense, up 14-6, Shaw in motion. Little dump pass again. This one, Tony Bowick, opposite side of the field. Complete this time, but he's dragged down. Shy of the 10-yard line and just shy of the first down marker. Kyle Moore-Brown said there's no way you're taking this one in for 6.
You know, Bowick does a nice job of executing that, but now Indiana's been burned twice by it. They got to watch out for it.
Let's go trick left, wide back. Let's go 39 stretch. Someone ready?
Second down, less than a yard to go for the first down for Grand Rapids. There, they keep it on the ground. And there's some running room. Touchdown! Chris Avery, the Iron Man of the game last week, rushed for 37 yards and a touchdown. Pounds his way in. Boy, he wasn't going down. Talk about a second and third effort. We're going to take another look at this one.
Oh, my gosh. Did you see that? He said, I will not be denied. Nobody will tackle me. Now, we haven't officially made a back-to-back club in arena football, but my man would maybe lead the club right there with that run. That is pure determination. What great authority ran right there, boy.
Brian Gowans trying to make it 3 for 3 on the PAT department. And he does, right down the middle of the freeway. So Chris Avery, not to be denied, averaged 18.5 yards a carry last week. Pounds his way in with a second and third effort. It's now 21-6. Grand Rapids on top of Indiana. Well, back inside Van Andel Arena, Grand Rapids, the #1 seed in the AFL playoffs up top, 21-6. Chris Avery averaged 18.5 yards a carry last week in the win over Chicago. He pounds it in from 11 yards. As Jay Jones back, the deep man now awaiting Brian Gowan's kick. So all the momentum hanging with Grand Rapids right now. It's a short kick, not even close to the net. Eddie Brown, 1 foot over the end line, and here goes Eddie. Breaks the ridge. Got some running room. Forward progress will give him the football close to the 16-yard line, plus there's a penalty flag down on the carpet. As soon as we get the call, we want to bring in the commissioner, C. David Baker, the commissioner of the Arena Football League.
Illegal block in the back. Number 99 off half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, it's going back, so again, momentum staying away from Indiana. And we mentioned the commissioner of the Arena Football League, C. David Baker. Good to see you again.
Hey, Mike, good to be with you and Merrill. You bet.
You know, David, last week, a lot of people thought Chicago might come in here and upset Grand Rapids, the top seed, but Grand Rapids blows them out. Any indication you might be back here for the Arena Bowl championship right now?
Well, right now there's a lot of game to go, but it's sure looking that way right now. And I know there's a lot of people in Tennessee that are rooting for Indianapolis.
First down. Filia trying to get it back, looking for Eddie Brown. He fights him off and can't pull the football in. Great second effort. Great focus that time by Eddie Brown. But as we take another look at it, Mr. Commissioner and Merrill.
You know, Mike, every time Indiana wants to get back in it, they keep going to their big play guy. And Eddie Brown is that guy. You know things aren't going Indiana's way when he doesn't come down with a catch like that, because those are the catches that Eddie makes all the time. Those are the acrobatic catches and the big plays he always comes up with. You know, you've had a penalty, you've missed a field goal, you've been stopped. I mean, those are the things uncharacteristic of an Indiana team, things they did not do last week.
Well, you must have been a happy camper when he rejoined the league this year.
Oh, touchdown Eddie Brown. He makes it great, makes it fun.
Jones had it, bobbled it, and pulled it in just shy of the 10-yard line.
You know, Commissioner, it just seems that this league has created so much parity. I mean, that's one of the exciting things, I think, when Mike mentioned Chicago, everybody thought was going to come up here and win because Grand Rapids had, you know, they squeak out wins and they dominate the game. But these last few games have been so close. Parity seems to be a part of what's going on in this league right now.
You know, I'll tell you never know what's going to happen in any game. That's why they play them, Merrill. I mean, you know, you look at, you know, we had 2 expansion teams in Chicago and Detroit who made it to the playoffs this first year. Chicago did great, surprised everybody. Anything could happen, and like you say, we got a lot of game left here today.
53% during the regular season, 33% in the postseason. Third down, overshoots his man Hopkins, but the penalty flag drop. Looked like it's going on J.J. Pope.
Commissioner, so much has been talked about Arena and the NFL joining together at one point. Something that's kind of, I don't know, looked at quite as closely. We've heard about Kurt Warner, but there's so many other players that have went from Arena football into the National Football League and been very successful. You see the list here. There's a lot of players you haven't heard about that have been very successful here and now are successful in the National Football League.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think the Arena Football League game produces a lot of guys, you know, a lot of throwing guys, a lot of catching guys, a lot of guys who hit hard. But, you know, it is a different kind of game. As you know, there's a lot of NFL guys who wouldn't be well suited for this game.
Right.
Because of the different, you know, size of the field, the different emphasis on quickness rather than speed. But a lot of guys are being developed, and there can be a lot more in the future. You watch and see.
Penalty against JoJo Polk gives Indiana the first down at the 15-yard line. Filia swings it out. There's lineman Kyle Moore Brown, or actually Ricky Hall brings it in. Gain of about 6 on the play. You know, Grand Rapids, the #1 seed, regardless of who wins this football game. Great scenario. Pat Sperduto and the Nashville Cats, the way they went down, the last play of the game in the Arena Bowl championship in Orlando, losing to the Predators. They're going to be a focused football team and a tough one to beat.
Well, and yesterday we really had a rematch of the semifinal from last year between San Jose and Nashville. I'll tell you, they are hungry. I was there yesterday. They're excited about it. Obviously, they're hoping it's going to be in Nashville.
Oh, absolutely.
Second down and about 3.5. Filia trying to get some instant points. Hopkins all alone at the top of your screen. Puts his head down and pounds his way over the 10-yard line down near the 6-yard line of Grand Rapids. Well, there's a player that really typifies the league, huh? Number 82, Greg Hopkins.
I'll tell you, there are so many guys. You know, you look at, we talk about our Ford Built Tough Award because, you know, the whole Ironman complex of guys playing both ways. Greg is that kind of guy. He has got a great heart and a guy who, again, may not be the specialist that you'd see in the NFL, But here, as a two-way player, this is what he was born to do.
It's vital to be successful in this league. You've got to be able to play both ways. And if they said it was the Greg Hopkins Award, I think people would identify with the Iron Man.
I agree with you.
Right.
What is it now in Indiana? IHOP? It's more like Iron Man Hopkins. That's what it means instead of International House of Pancakes. Touchdown, Eddie Brown. When in doubt, go to number 17, the 5-time scoring champ. And Indiana's back on the board.
And I cannot tell you how vital that was for Indiana. They needed something to calm them down a little bit, get some consistency moving, and score some points at the end result. Very big for Indiana right there.
What's the number one thing that you're most proud of this year as the league continues to grow and evolve?
Well, I think it's that parity, you know, and I think it's the faithfulness of all these fans. I mean, you look at these fans. I mean, it is such a fan-friendly league, and the players understand it. The parity and the players that we're developing with the NFL.
Garner with the extra point, 8 for 8. He's already missed one, 8 for 8 last week. Already missed one here this afternoon. He drills it through. So, C. David Baker, the commissioner, good to see you again. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Mike. You bet. Thank you, Merrill. We're proud to have you guys with us. Thank you.
7:06 to go. 21-13, Grand Rapids on top of Indiana. Well, back in Grand Rapids, deficit cut to 21-13 now as Filia goes to his money man, Eddie Brown, for the scoring strike. Nelson Garner ready to kick. Ricky Ross, the deep man for Grand Rapids. And here's the kick by Garner. Garner having a lot more productivity a week ago in Tampa Bay. This time off of the bar, live football. There's the big break they were looking for. Garner got the game ball last week, got the football that time at about the 17-yard line.
Dire straight. Indiana's going to lose this game. It looks to be over. And wham, in 2 plays, they're right back in it. The one thing that is truly exciting about arena football are these nets, the bars, when the ball hits them. I mean, you can practice it all day. You never know. So what you have to tell your team, just swarm to the ball, look for the ball. Everybody get there, but what's so hard is Grand Rapids, they're looking downfield. Look how their backs are to the ball. The ball bounces out. All the Indiana players are able to see it, advantage to Indiana based on how far the ball came off the bar.
Isn't that the truth, though? You said you're right off Indiana. A couple of swings one way or the other, and all of a sudden they're back in the game. They score here. Filia going over, and this one's almost picked off. Penalty flag down as Filia went down hard. Chris Ryan was coming in.
Yeah, he was coming in too.
Spot.
Oh, was he coming in? He was coming in so good that he had to be tackled. It's going to be holding.
And some words exchanged as we take a look over by the boards. Player down. Rafael Ball still lying on the carpet.
Well, this is a case of, trying to make a play and just sliding right into the wall.
So just keep your fingers crossed and hope that he's okay. The second-year man out of Ball State.
Ball's trying to get the football, trying to create the interception. And, one of the other elements of this game.
5 on the offense, 10 yards, previous spot.
The penalty goes against the offensive team. And I was going to say a rare underthrow by Filia, but he was belted and belted hard by Ryan.
Yeah, and the hold puts him back 10 yards. But in arena football and where the ball will be placed, which will be midfield, really no big deal. Because the ability to go down the field, you see Ryan there, he gets tackled, but now Ball here coming across.
Ooh,
boy,
straight into
see
the
how
board.
his head was straight up. And the exciting part, or one of them, about arena football is the wall. I mean, the dynamics it brings, but there's also some danger involved with it too, because the wall doesn't give. We joke about it's padded and it's soft, but not till you're hitting at full speed, it's not.
Rafael Ball still lying on the carpet, so keep our fingers crossed. We're going to take a timeout here from Grand Rapids. It's 21-13 Rampage, 6.5 minutes to go. Back inside Van Andel Arena, the semifinal games, the winner going to the Arena Bowl Championship. There you see the numbers, but a hush has fallen over this crowd in Van Andel Arena. And Rafael Ball hit head-on with the boards. He was lying on the carpet, but now he gets a nice round of applause. Hopefully we saw some movement down there. From this vantage point, I couldn't see, as you see the players huddling around each other, saying a little prayer. I mean, those boards have a lot of give. They add a lot of excitement to the game, but if you're going to hit a board regardless of the give, you're going to hit it head on like Rafael Ball did. You just keep your fingers crossed and hope that he's okay. So they will try to put Rafael Ball up on the gurney and transport him to the hospital. We're going to take another timeout. 21-13, 6:34 to go from Grand Rapids. 6:34 to go, 21-13. Number 19, you see in the middle of your screen, JoJo Polk was playing AF2 football in Charleston last July 15th, as a matter of fact. He is shedding some tears down on the floor. Of course, we have our fingers crossed for Rafael Ball. Hope there's some movement before they transport him to the hospital. But JoJo Polk literally went into the boards in Charleston playing in the AF2, and he broke his neck last year.
Yeah.
And the doctors at the time thought he would never walk again. And they put a halo on. There was no surgery, and the doctors at Tulane University in New Orleans said, let's take a wait-and-see approach. And all of a sudden, he started getting movement in his lower extremities, and miraculously enough, JoJo Polk is playing football here in the AFL semifinal game after a fantastic season. The rookie out of Northeastern State just a year ago, breaking his neck, and now he's back playing football and one step away from the championship game. So he was shedding a few tears down there. He's very concerned for his teammate, Rafael Ball. The Ball getting a nice round of applause right now. Again, I can't see my vantage point from here, but hopefully there is some movement. The second-year man out of Ball State. You can see the concern from both teams, Indiana and Grand Rapids.
Well, you know, players always understand there's a sense of danger when you play the game, and I'm sure for Polk brings back probably some drastic nightmares and the emotion there. And then, you know, Ball, the way he hit the wall, I'm telling you, I've been into a lot of arenas, but never an arena that was immediately hushed when he hit the wall like that.
It was stone silent here in Grand Rapids. Rafael Ball hitting the boards head on. He's on the gurney now. He'll be transported to Grand Rapids Hospital. Getting a nice round of applause here from the Grand Rapids fans. A standing ovation. So keep your fingers crossed. We certainly hope and pray that everything's okay with number 25. You know, the second effort, he was going for the interception. He knew the board was coming up. We're told there's some movement with his hands and his feet as they're taking him off the field. Eddie Brown, last player to say a few encouraging words. So again, we're told there has been some movement of his feet and his hands. But again, Merrill, he was going for the interception. He probably could have protected himself a little bit, but being the player that he is, he wanted to get the pick.
I just think it's so difficult when you're trying to make an interception. You concentrate on making the play. And what's hard now, though, is you've got to rechannel your mind. Now you have to refocus and put your energies into this game. And that is not an easy task by either team, because both has been affected by what has happened.
Well, it'll no doubt take a few plays to get the electricity back into this crowd. First down for Raymond Fillion, the Firebirds of Indiana. They're down 21-13. Well, dump pass almost picked off. Ricky Ross coming up. They're looking for Leroy Thompson, a big fullback coming out of the backfield. Ball's incomplete, so it'll be a second down for Indiana.
You know, one of the elements of this game we've kind of hit on a little bit is, you know, defensively got to create stops and turnovers. But another part of it is being able to run the football, too.
Strong ace left, wing loop, 50 hits, wing corner on two, ready? Give me time, boy.
And I can assure you this, when the quarterback's telling you, give me time, and you hear wing hitch and corner, they're going to try to go a little deep here. This is definitely a pass.
Eddie Brown in motion.
Eddie will be your corner route.
Fillion has his man. Van Johnson inside the 20. Demo Odoms coming over to make the stop for Grand Rapids defensively.
You know, one of the things we talked about in the open was how the Grand Rapids secondary was going to defend wide receivers, specifically Eddie Brown. We believe whichever way he releases is where he will end up in his route. And if you can't figure that out, you just tackle the guy when he's about 15 yards deep.
You hit the nail on the head, because he was definitely running the corner route there, the flag.
But they say it's a greater tendency when they're pressed man-to-man. If he releases to the right, they finish their route to the right. If they release to the left, they finish it to the left. We haven't seen it that much early on, but it's something we will continue to monitor to see if it does take into effect for Indiana or Grand Rapids.
1 for 2, third downs, penalty flag down. Intended receiver was Hopkins at about the 11-yard line. And making the defensive play, Hassan Shamsuddin, third-year man out of North Carolina State.
Oof, that's a big break for Indiana.
And we talk about penalties during the regular season.
Offside defense, number 44, 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Grand Rapids at 92, number 2 in the league to Indiana. Indiana only 83 penalties during the regular season. So Michael Trigg now watching the momentum shift just a little bit.
Well, you got to look at the scenario now. You'd had them stop. We're going to force a field goal. Now you gave them 5 yards plus another down to try to create the first down.
Third down. Ball resting at the 13-yard line. Down 21-13. Filia, plenty of time, has his man, number 17 again. Eddie Brown has his second touchdown today. Eddie Brown, 265 touchdowns in his career, coming in as his second. Last week, 10 grabs, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 touchdown rushing.
You know, Pope, the defender, Brown, the receiver, obviously there's a great respect there. Understands Eddie is a great receiver, and Eddie, we talked about it in the open about him being such a disciplined guy, understanding what he's going against as far as the opponent goes. Did a nice job of selling his route to the inside, and all you need is a little separation, and Eddie always seems to create that.
Garner just missed his extra point again, his second. Live football, but now it dies at about the 13-yard line. So Garner, who had 20 points last week against Tampa Bay, has missed a field goal and 2 extra points here today in Grand Rapids.
That's why you always hesitate giving the kicker the game ball. But these points are significant. You're talking about now 1 point earlier, another one now. Now you're down by 2. It's going to force a field goal to win this game somewhere along the line, when in reality it could be tied up.
You know, Merrill, actually those are missed opportunities too for Grand Rapids, because Garner missing the kick that's a live football, and twice now Grand Rapids unsuccessfully getting their hands on the football and returning it.
And ultimately it's just a bonus. I mean, they still get the minus point. But the thing that Indiana has to be hurting right now about is these missed opportunities. The opportunity for, you know, something that should be routine, that are somewhat kind of dead plays. You know, 1 point, simple kick. You got to be able to make those. Those got to be guarantees.
Ricky Ross going back deep now for Grand Rapids, 21-19. Grand Rapids opening up a big lead, 21-6 at one juncture, and now it's a 2-point ball game. With about 3.5 minutes to go before halftime here in this semifinal game. The winner goes on to the Arena Bowl Championship. Will it be here in Grand Rapids or Nashville? Garner with the kick. Big game last week, struggled somewhat here today. This one, hard to play off that net. Ricky Ross gets it. He's over the end zone, and he's over the 5-yard line. And penalty flags dropped at about the 3. So both teams disciplined possibly, or maybe during the regular season, but a lot of penalty flags so far here today.
Holding number 10 on the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
5 yard, 2.5 yard line. What does it matter, right?
Well, touchdown Eddie Brown makes it a 2-point ball game. Could have been 1 if they didn't miss the PAT, but Filia pretty cool in the clutch here.
Well, a nice job of the complementary routes that took place. Shorter routes underneath. In fact, both guys run into each other. Cleared out 4 guys, kind of like an explosion.
Twin receivers, top left of your screen. And it's a quick hitter. It's Ricky Ross over the 5, and he stopped at about the 8-yard line. Greg Williams making the initial contact, tripping up Ricky Ross as he tried to cut back against the grain. Clock running, 2:49. Later tonight on ESPN2, the Little League World Series continues with the Midwest Regional Final at 6, and then the Mid-South at 8. Coverage continues all week long. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. You know, we're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, over at Roosevelt Park in Muskegon, just about 45 minutes from here. A lot of young boys excited playing on ESPN2, playing in that baseball tournament last night. Completed up over the 15-yard line. Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the home of the Rampage. Alongside Merrill Hodge, the former Steeler and Bear, I'm Mike Gleason. It's great to have you on board here on ESPN2. Don't forget the finals on ABC. And next Sunday, Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson, and Lynn Swann. The Hall of Famer Lynn Swann, I should say. Matter of fact, Michael Baker said he idolized Lynn Swann when he was growing up, and Lynn Swann will be down on the sidelines next week, so might have a face-to-face meeting with Lynn. That's Shaw. Dalzell. Ricky Ross. Midfield stripe inside the 20. And Van Johnson drives him up against the boards, but good for a first down for the Rampage.
Indiana's done a nice job of changing their coverages up. The one thing they're trying to defend against is the big play that Dalzell's already hit him once on. But the thing about Dalzell is you run zone coverage, you got to leave somebody open, and he always finds that guy. The one thing that he really does a nice job of is finding the open guy, and he's a disciplined guy in the sense of, if I got to throw a 5-yard hitch route 30 times, I'll do it if it's going to be what it takes to win this game.
Well, Mike Daly decides to call the timeout. Minute 18 to go before halftime. It's a 2-point game. Grand Rapids up 21-19. Every Tuesday on ESPN at 7 o'clock and 7:30. You can join Kenny Mayne for the 2-minute drill. You can even play at home with enhanced TV. Every show features new celebrities. Have you got the answer? The 2-minute drill. That's exactly what Grand Rapids is working right now. Minute 18 to go before they go into the locker room and talk things over at halftime.
Now, see, I think in this league, it needs to be the 30-second drill. Because, as you know, a 2-minute drill could equate to 48 points amongst everybody because of how fast they can get up and down the field.
That's a great
That
point.
might not be too bad right here. All Jeff. What was my first one?
Now, see, I think they're talking about attacking down the field, going for everything right now. So I think this is the best place to do it. The closer you get, the harder it gets.
Let's do the old wing hit screen again. See how they like that one. Let's go raise right. Let's go wing hit screen right on. Ready?
Well, actually, they're going to go back to that screen. They've been one for a touchdown that was called back, and then they got to get a big play. So they're going to try to run a screen here to the left.
Dalzell's completed his last 5 attempts. There's a quick one. Ricky Ross cutting over the middle. He's got some room. Ross at the 10-5. Touchdown, Ricky Ross. Dalzell strikes again. The rookie out of Missouri, Ricky Ross, 13 touchdowns during the regular season.
Well, first of all, the other left. They went to the right side, and what the advantage of it is you got wide receivers blocking defensive backs. It's a little easier that way than having those big offensive linemen run out there. And then a terrific run by Moss. Nice job of managing those blocks, getting to the seam, and getting in the end zone.
Well, Merrill, if another team closes the gap, you really have to answer in this league, and Grand Rapids does that as Brian Gowans comes back out, attempting his 4th extra points, and he is 4 for 4. The former Northwestern Wildcat, 96% during the regular season. Exactly 1 minute to go before halftime. Rampage strike again.
You know, Mike, you try to create matchups, and oftentimes I think just the guys catching the ball, but look at these blocks by the wide receivers on the defensive backs. Terrific job of sustaining them, creating the contact. Those are also matchups you're trying to create. Take an offensive lineman out there and ask him to do that. I don't think it gets done, but your wide receivers on defensive backs, you get it done.
Not a lot of real estate out there, of course, naturally, but it's rare you see such a wide open path for the touchdown as he waltzed in. It's a walk in the park for Ricky Ross. It's his first postseason touchdown. Rampage fans keeping their fingers crossed, hoping the championship game will be right here in Grand Rapids. They win their first playoff game in the history of the franchise last week with a win over Chicago. Now, with a win today, they'll be playing for all the marbles against Nashville. If Van Johnson and the Firebirds can come back and win this football game, they will head to Nashville to play the championship game. The Nashville Cats losing in the last seconds against Jay Gruden's the Predators of Orlando last year in a great finish on ABC.
Well, they've been there. They know how to do it, and they know that this time don't want to come up short.
Well, they go for the squib kick, and Hopkins gets it, and he wanted to take it in, but he was down. He was touched at about the 5-yard line, but again, the valuable asset, Greg Hopkins, good hands.
Now, see, I got to be honest with you, I don't know about this call here. You know, you've got some momentum, you scored, and now you kick an onside kick with some 50 seconds left. And Indiana now has the ball on the 9-yard line, and it's really one of their best all-around player, Greg Hopkins.
I'm not sure if Gowans really wanted to kick it that straight, especially right into the hands of Hopkins.
Well, maybe not, but I don't think he even do an onside kick there with 59 seconds.
Eddie Brown had a touchdown rushing last week. He fights his way down to about the 2-yard line. Plenty of time left. Remember, the clock stops in the final minutes of the first half and the final minute of the ball game. Mike Daly, the former offensive and defensive coordinator, his 11th year in the organization, 5th year as the head coach of these Firebirds. Timeout on the field.
Very questionable, an onside kick like that. You know, you've got a team down. Force them to go the distance. Force them to make the big plays. Don't give it to them on the 9-yard line. Now, clearly, I know they were not thinking they were going to turn it over there. They were going to get the onside kick, catch the Indiana Firebirds off guard, but you got to always account for who's up there. And if you're looking at Greg Hopkins, I don't think you can count him sleeping. No, I just think that there's a guy, if I'm evaluating the opponent, I don't think I can pull one over on him, and I don't want to risk it right now.
No, every facet of the game, it's very rare that Greg Hopkins will mess up. Now, next week on ABC, it is the finals, the Arena Bowl. Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson, Lynn Swan will be on hand on ABC. Will it be in Grand Rapids or Nashville? Live 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific time. The Arena Bowl Championship on ABC. And the Rampage fans keeping their fingers crossed, as I said. Boy, Mike Daly, his football team really, you know, I liked what Mike Daly said. They put 68 points on the board against Tampa Bay, but he was so reserved in his comments after the game. He knew that they got a lot of breaks against the Storm in Tampa Bay. Right now, 28-19, they could use a score. Eddie Brown cuts to the outside, walks in the end zone, and Eddie Brown has his 2nd rushing touchdown in 2 weeks. Player down on the carpet. It looks like Hassan Shamsuddin.
You know, look, Van Johnson, wide receiver for the Indiana Firebirds, got away with an absolute mugging here. Now, you're going to watch Eddie Brown come up around here, but watch Johnson right over in here. Now, that, my friends, that's holding. That's as close to tackling as you can get it. But I guess it's not because they didn't call it. So, quite honestly, that's a good block as far as he's concerned.
Eddie Brown with 25 rushes for 78 yards during the regular season. Gets his 2nd touchdown on the ground in 2 weeks. Garner on the kick. This time, he drills it through. So Garner's missed a couple, but that time he's right down the middle. But number 17, if he's not scoring through the air, Filia says he'll do it on the ground. 28-26, Grand Rapids by 2. Back inside Van Andel Arena, 45 seconds to go. The roll of the dice backfires on Michael Trigg in Grand Rapids, and the onside kick pulled in by Indiana, and they capitalize with the Eddie Brown touchdown, making it 28-26. Garner now with the kick. He's had some success in making it difficult as Willis tries to play it off the net, but he stepped on the end line. That's the 3rd time now on the kickoff that Garner's made it very, very difficult for Grand Rapids to return the kick. Let's take another look at it as Willis Marshall, a year ago playing for Jim Tressel at Youngstown State, now here in the semifinal game. A little over anxious, right, and he steps out of bounds. So Grand Rapids, no time off the clock. Clint Dozell will have 45 seconds to work with. 45 yards away.
Now we got 45 seconds here, Mike. Hey, there's enough time, as you know, 14 points. I mean, I would not be surprised if both these teams score before we go to halftime.
Dozell goes to work, finds his man. It's Shaw again. Good for the first down, up over the 15-yard line. Word is Raphael Ball has arrived at a Grand Rapids hospital. And keep in mind, Michael Baker is out with a possible torn ligament in his left foot. They're going to look at him and examine him at halftime. Baker with only 3 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown here in the first half. So Dozell working. Complete. That's Odoms, the 3-year starter for the Iowa Hawkeyes, up near the midfield stripe. Shy of the first down, about a yard and a half. 24 seconds to go on the clock.
What's really important right now is that you manage not only the clock with your timeouts, but managing where you're going to throw the football now. The Rampage only having one timeout left, now everybody really has to be alert of where you are on the field. If you get tackled in the middle of the field, huddling up real quick, getting a timeout, or getting another play going.
Well, one thing for sure, you know, you look at Dazell. He really spread out the wealth. Really spread the wealth. 15 touchdowns for Odoms this year. Baker had 12 touchdowns during the regular season. Shaw had 23. But if Baker goes out, that's one less weapon.
Yeah, you know, Mike, you have to remember, too, that onside kick that we mentioned backfired. They also wasted a timeout, too. The very next play, they called the timeout. So, really, the onside kick, yes, backfired, but they also burned a timeout.
And if Michael Baker has that possible torn ligament in his left foot, so we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, his idol, Lynn Swan, chance to meet him next week when ABC does the finals, if Grand Rapids was in it.
We're still going to
torn ligament in his foot. I doubt if he'll be playing.
Just won't get a show off. Still going to meet. Still get a tie. Actually, a little longer.
Twin receivers at the top of your screen. Now, Shaw in motion, coming to the bottom. Second down, Dazell has his man at the 18. It's Willis fighting his way down near the 11-yard line. Willis Marshall, the rookie out of Youngstown State.
Yeah, and great effort, but now you got to be alert. What's going on here? Time's a ticket. Tick. Get to the lineup. Get another play going.
16 seconds to go. Ball resting just shy of the 10-yard line. And Clint Dazell will stop the clock by grounding it, and they're going to talk things over. They'll have 13 seconds to work with. Coming up at halftime, we'll get you caught up on Nashville and the San Jose highlights. Also highlights from the A2 Arena Cup game, as well as a look at the Arena Football Plays of the Year. That's all coming up at halftime here from Grand Rapids on ESPN2. There we go. At halftime, Merrill, I'm doing the highlights and doing all the work. I suppose you'll be getting your...
The lid keeps changing, my friend. They just throw a little gel in there and just poop it all around, and wherever it falls, it falls.
You know, good view of the game.
I still think you need that George Clooney look. You need a George Clooney look. You look like George.
I wonder if that goes with the price of admission, getting your haircut over there.
Should.
Dazell, he's got, almost had his man. At the 1-yard line, Willis Marshall thought he had it. Great defensive play by Cornelius Coe, the rookie out of Northern Michigan.
Now, once you set up like that, you got to stay there. You got the defender in your back. You got to keep him between the quarterback and the ball. Can't pull away like that. And Dazell said nothing, but gave him that look like, don't do that to me again. Once you sit down there, you got to stay there.
Cornelius Coe, who made that breakup, 141 tackles, 169 in AF2 last year, 291 tackles at Northern Michigan. Dazell, pump fake, buying some time, looking, firing, finding for the touchdown. Terrell Shaw. Boy, Dazell, that's the second time this afternoon Dazell did a great job of buying some time. Of course, he didn't have a lot of time on the clock, but he waited patiently, had the time, and found the Shaw for his second touchdown today.
You know what's interesting here, though, Dazell, I think he may have been throwing it to Odoms, because he's watching the back of the field. See, right there is couldn't follow him there. There's Odoms. I think he was throwing it to Odoms, and Shaw just happened to make the catch.
Demo Odoms out of Iowa saying, hey, come on, you already have a touchdown. That one was for me. But nonetheless, Shaw has another score, and Gowans has another chance and another extra point. So Gowans is perfect this afternoon with 2 seconds to go before halftime. 35-26. Grand Rapids on top of Indiana.
Take a look at a couple things. First, the footwork's terrific, but watch his head. He's watching Odoms in the very back. He's following him across. He doesn't even see Shaw. Shaw comes up with the catch, but he's looking at Odoms. There you'll see him on the back end line. He's following him across. That's who he's throwing the ball to. Shaw just makes a brilliant catch.
Not much Greg Williams could do. 2 orange jerseys in the left corner of the end zone.
See that little wink there? See Odoms? He knows.
Oh, Dazell lighting it up again. 19 of 24.
Yeah, not seen a perfect game, but that's about as close as they come, at least for the first half.
Well, 4 touchdowns. I really got to hand it to Michael Trigg. In the Rampage of Grand Rapids, they thought they had a pretty good quarterback here last year, but they went out and got Clint Dozell, the only player in the history of the league to throw for 80 touchdowns 3 different seasons. Right now he has his Rampage up 35-26, 2 seconds, 2 ticks left before halftime. So Gowan's waiting for the cue from the official, and Van Johnson, the deep man for Indiana. He's got some running room, but they're giving him the bend don't break kickoff coverage because that will expire the first half as time winds down. So we're at halftime in Grand Rapids, the semifinal. Clint Dozell heads for the locker room, as does Indiana. The numbers favoring Grand Rapids 35-26. So some of the big plays. Avery with the big run. Dozell, 4 touchdown strikes here in the first half. 35-26 Grand Rapids. Halftime in Grand Rapids, so 1 half before the stage is set for the Arena Bowl Championship. 30 minutes to go. Grand Rapids on top, 35-26. Half of the stage set yesterday in Nashville, and you can always count on the Tennessee Volunteer connection. Andy Kelly, Corey Fleming for the touchdown here. Mark Grieve really had a long day as far as that defense is concerned for Nashville. Grieve beat up in the afternoon. End of the first half, San Jose going for the field goal, and this is Tyrone Jones. The tide will turn somewhat here. Momentum really shifts towards Nashville as Jones weaves his way through traffic, and Tyrone Jones takes it to the house for the touchdown. Did it 41-30. Jones adds another score from Kelly early in the second half, and Nashville goes on to win it 71-47. Now Tyrone Jones, look at this, Merrill. When he is hot, they say offensively or special teams, he might be the best in the league.
He's been absolutely brilliant the last 2 years. Remember 2 years ago in Arizona, he had dropped a couple balls in the playoff run there. They lose that game. Since then, he has been magnificent. You've got to be able to contain him in some fashion, and it's very hard because there's so many areas of the game he's effective.
The last 2 playoff games against San Jose, 7 touchdowns with a 238 and 130, and of course AF2, the Arena 2 Cup highlights. The Quad Cities up 41-36 in this one. Kevin Harvey scores on a 2-yard run, 2-point conversion, good. Steam Wheelers come back. Dennis Robinson 2 yards. Quad Cities 48-44. And then Bob Bees finds Kevin Harvey again as Richmond retakes the lead. But look at this, less than 20 seconds to go. Scott Visendahl on the receiving end from the Jay McDonough strike. Quad City wins at 55-51. So a great Arena Cup championship there for 2001. Here in Grand Rapids, it's halftime, 35-26. The top seeded Rampage, maybe 30 minutes away from the Arena Bowl championship game. Halftime in Grand Rapids with 30 minutes to go. Rampage up by 9, 35-26. It's been a fun year in the AFL. So let's take a look back at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it all culminates next week, either in Grand Rapids or Nashville, with the Arena Bowl Championship next Sunday on ABC. Lynn Swan, recently inducted into the National Football League Hall of Fame. He'll be here with Brent Musburger and Gary Danielson next Sunday live, 3 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Back in Grand Rapids, 35-26. It's halftime with the Rampage on top of the Firebirds. The winner goes to the Arena Bowl Championship alongside Merrill Hodge. I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you on board on ESPN2. Great news. Rafael Ball, of course, in the first half was taken from the field to a Grand Rapids hospital. And they say he had some sensation. He had some feeling, some tingling feeling in his fingers, in his hands, and his feet. So he's taken to the hospital for precautionary x-rays. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But Michael Baker, also one of the top receivers for Grand Rapids, getting examined down in the locker room right now with a possible torn tendon in his left foot. So how does that affect Grand Rapids?
Well, all of it is good news as far as the health of those players, but you lose those players, so that means other players have to step up, and I think in the second half is when you might see some effects. It's been an interesting game already thus far. It is how the momentum has changed. Grand Rapids got up. Indiana's worked their way back. Grand Rapids gave it back to them with some onside kicks. So it's been very interesting. I expect this to come down to the last play of the game again.
Well, Grand Rapids grabbed the early momentum, opening up a 21-6 lead. Let's take a look at some of the highlights in the first half here from Van Andel Arena.
Well, this is what Grand Rapids did early. Dalzell did a great job of keeping the plays alive, made some big plays early, but put them up 14-0. And you think, well, it's over for Indiana, and then the thing I love about arena football is the mystery of where that ball is going to go. They get a turnover. They capitalize on that turnover with Eddie Brown running in for a touchdown. Then at the end of the game, at the end of the first half, only down by 2, they make the last play of the game, the big catch. Actually, he was going to the receiver in the back. Shaw comes up with a big catch, and here we are starting the second half.
And the numbers for the first 30 minutes, 229 passing yards to 102 for Phil Young. About 9.6 average receiving per. So 4 touchdown passes for Clint Dalzell. Raymond Philyaw, of course, throwing only 1 interception during the regular season. So all eyes on Philyaw. Baker, there's Michael Baker. He had 3 catches for 39 yards in the first half. Doesn't look like he'll be seeing any action. That foot heavily bandaged.
Yeah, it's a clear indicator when you don't have your pads on and you come out, right. You're not going to be playing in the second half. So, it is unfortunate. We talk in arena football about, I think this is the half you really got to focus on it. These guys play both sides of the ball. There's not great depth. You've lost 2 of your starting players. They have to be filled in for. Your depth's not very good now. You still have another half of football to go, and I think the players that play this game don't get enough credit for the shape they're in. You score a touchdown, well, you're going to have to go on kickoff coverage immediately, and then you're going to have to defend somebody in the passing game and the running game. It's a game of conditioning and mental toughness, which all these guys have.
Well, you were talking with the commissioner early in the first half about all the names moving up to the National Football League from the AFL, and I think about that quite often. After a grueling Arena Football League season, all of a sudden you get the opportunity to show up in an NFL camp, but your legs have to be a little bit tired going in.
Well, you talk the NFL is long enough as it is. Arena has their length too, but you combine them together, that's football almost year-round. The only thing to that, the upside is it's only going to happen to you one time. If you usually go to the NFL, more than likely you're not going to go back to arena football. You hopefully would stick with that team, but people that play this game love it. What's that?
The operative word there is hopefully.
Yeah.
You stick with the NFL team. Some guys have been up and down. We saw Michael Baker over on the sidelines. Actually, he spent the '94 season with the old team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But, a lot of guys in this league, there's great talent here, first of all, and people enjoy playing this game, and if they make a career of it, you got to be proud of that. It's a great league to play in. Great players play here.
Well, Brian Gowans, the former Northwestern Wildcat, ready to kick off the second half, and we are underway. Van Johnson, the deep man, will have to play this one off the net. Plays it cleanly off the net. He's over the 10-yard line, across the 15. He's got some running room, and he's across the Grand Rapids 20-yard line. That's the second strong return by number 15, Van Johnson.
Well, the first thing you have to field the ball. Johnson does a great job of that, and then a nice job by the return team of creating that wedge for him. And what you almost have to do is you get one guy knocked out of his lane, and that's going to create a running lane.
So the numbers on Raymond Filia after the first half: 102 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 10 touchdowns against Grand Rapids in one of the 2 games they played in the 80-74 loss this year. Filia, first play, second half, going upstairs. Hopkins, touchdown. 35-26, first play, second half, goes for the touchdown. And just like that, the Firebirds are breathing down Grand Rapids' neck again.
Now, it'd be interesting to watch Hopkins' route here. Grand Rapids thought they had a tendency to give an indication of where the route's going to be run. But Hopkins actually wasn't being pressed there, so even harder to cover. When a guy's coming down in motion like that, attacking the line of scrimmage, you got to feel sorry for that defensive back. All that field to cover with a guy running full speed, very tough task.
Nelson Garner out of James Madison missed 2 extra points in the first half. Now he's found his groove as he drills it through. We'll keep it right here. So the first possession, first play of the second half. We'll take another look at it as Greg Hopkins, a 3-time All-American at Slippery Rock. It's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, not that far from the city of Pittsburgh. Filia does a nice job of looking off there, finding Hopkins coming over the top, and we've already mentioned it, but I think we need to do it again. Hopkins and Brown, 2 excellent wide receivers on the same team. You know, it's like picking your poison, and it's so tough. It's tough enough to defend one guy that's very good, but when you got 2 guys, it is just so tough. You see the numbers here today: 2 touchdowns, 3 for Brown, 2 touchdowns each, 3 receptions for Brown, 5 for Greg Hopkins. Then the yardage, obviously very similar, but a great balance attack there you have with 2 good wide receivers. And that's ultimately what you get with Indiana. You cannot shut one down, and ultimately when you focus on one while the other guy starts playing well, then you get frustrated there and you're like, well, let's go try to take care of him, and then the other guy gets going.
And Ricky Ross, he's been the go-to guy in the first half for Clint Dazell as far as receptions.
Mike, this is exactly what Indiana wanted to do, though. You want to come out, you get in the ball, score quickly.
And that's exactly what they did. Took them 1 play to go in for the touchdown. Garner with the kick. And this time, Ricky Ross fields it cleanly off the net, and a shoestring tackle by Leroy Thompson, the 260-pounder, just over the 5-yard line. So Clint Dazell, again, putting up big numbers for Grand Rapids in his first year with the Rampage.
He's been super. You're right, Mike. He's been super with what he has done thus far in the first half. 6 different wide receivers, and that really relates to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
He's going to take what you give him. And he doesn't care what it is. He's going to move the chains.
Let's go trip right, wide back. Let's go 34 pop. On one, ready?
34 pop.
Good split, good split.
I think they start out with a little running play to the right.
Well, 6 different receivers in the second half. You will not have Michael Baker to work with. He's out. Quick handoff. They keep it on the ground. Remember last week they had 5 rushing touchdowns. That time it's Chris Ryan with the call. The second-year man out of Clark. Average about 9.2 yards on the ground a game for Grand Rapids this year.
You know, then Michael Trigg right there, a guy who understands how you have to win in this league. Yes, throwing the football, all of the points being scored are exciting and dramatic, and you need it, but you still have to have balance. You have to be able to run the football, control the tempo. That early run is a sign he is not panicking, staying with his game plan, doing what it's going to take, he thinks, to win this game.
Indiana capitalizing big time against Tampa Bay. Pump fake. They do not have a defensive stop yet. Odoms had it and dropped it at the 5-yard line. Demo Odoms, the second-year man out of Iowa.
Well, just got caught in a situation where the ball is coming down. Rather to turn your hands over and catch it or let it come into him, and turning his hands over just knocked it right out. Boy.
Oh, remember in the back of the end zone when Shaw grabbed that touchdown late in the first half? Well, Odoms could have had another one right there.
Dalzell, knowing you missed an opportunity there. It did a nice job of coming out, trying to establish something with the ground, do a little pump fake, and immediately go down the field.
Third down now for Dalzell. 60% during the regular season, only 44% last week on third down against Chicago. Shaw over the midfield stripe, and Johnson wrestles him down. Penalty flag. Shaw gets up and in his face. Words are exchanged. Shaw thought that he was out of bounds, or at least the whistle blew, and Johnson threw him to the turf.
Pleasantries, you mean? Pleasantries.
Hey, there's a lot at stake.
And clearly you are right, my friend.
I'll let you play. Personal foul against number 15. Unnecessary roughness. 10 yards. First down.
You know, and in a sense, you think this is great for Grand Rapids, the big play and then the penalty on top of it. But here's where the negative is. You can see two guys just, hey, they're trying to finish the play. Little extra shove there, unnecessary, probably so. Shaw is going to let him know that. But here's what happens. Now you're moved down the field even closer to the goal line. Now the field is short and harder to score here. It's just so much much more difficult as the condensing of the field.
That's a great point. So many quarterbacks have told us. Bowick had that one called back, not this time. The 9-year man out of Tennessee, Chattanooga, had the long touchdown, nullified in the first half. This time, he takes it in for his 4th receiving touchdown of the season. Grand Rapids Lineman of the Year last summer comes down with a touchdown right here.
Mike Bowick deserved this one, and great call. Right down here, you know, your options are limited. The one successful play a lot of teams in arena football run is this quick screen play. And Bowick, I mean, for a big man, does a great job of not just running it, but having a great sense of how to run the football. Very seldom see that.
So here's Brian Gowans again, getting to work out this afternoon. Automatic for number 11. Tony Bowick, 6'3", 268 pounds. Give him the ball and chances he'll score. 10:42 to go. It's 42-33 Grand Rapids. Next week, it's the Arena Bowl. How about the Nacho Bowl, Merrill? There's some serious nacho action right there.
Number 1.
I am speechless, Mike.
Oh,
And I am starving, too.
guy draped with
Does
the
not
Arena
look
Bowl
appetizing,
flag.
I got to admit.
Here we go. Gowans ready to kick. Johnson, low line drive kick. Doesn't have to worry about the net. He's over the 10, 15. He's had 2 strong returns for Indiana already this afternoon. There's a fumble, live football, and Indiana looks like they fell on it.
And wouldn't you know, Mr. Reliable, Greg Hopkins. Is that Greg Hopkins?
Yeah, Hopkins.
Looks like it.
Johnny on the spot again for the Firebirds. Boy, that would have been big.
You know, so many plays like that you just don't account for. You don't. Those are big, and he's had 2 big plays today, and they're not the touchdowns. It's through the fumble recovery and the onside, and this one right here.
Back left, wing loose, 70, wing post, X under, H go, 1-1, ready? Take on top, boy.
And I see the motion guy. They're going to try to get to the post. And it's going to be Eddie Brown. If not there, he'll drop him underneath.
Philya came in. 68 touchdowns in the regular season. Johnson wide open. He's at the 15, 10. Boom, he's hit at the 6-yard line. Willis Marshall coming up to make the stop for Grand Rapids, but a big gain for Philya and company. And suddenly Indiana's inside the 10. Must have stepped out of bounds. It looks like they're spotting it at the 9-yard line.
Well, nice job here by Eddie Brown. You'll see Johnson comes across there. He's the S under. Eddie Brown is not there. He's double covered. Just give it to the underneath guy, and hey, you'll take that.
Well,
But he touched him for about 15 yards.
yeah, I think Johnson's a little surprised himself. He had so much real estate in front of him that he didn't realize he stepped out of bounds at the 9-yard line. So 1st and goal from the 9. Hopkins in motion. Philya. 2 plays this time. It's Hopkins for another touchdown. So if it's not Eddie Brown, it's Greg Hopkins, as Merrill alluded to earlier. Hopkins pulls in the other scoring strike, and Michael Trigg keeps seeing Indiana come back.
Well, JoJo Pope not very happy. In the secondary, there's a lot of confusion until the end. They're talking there. Nobody's out there covering him. JoJo Pope really not set up or in position. Then trips there. Hard enough to cover a guy like Hopkins when you're all by yourself and you have all that field and all that room. When you trip, it's even harder.
Take, boy.
Nelson Garner finding his groove, number 82 from Slippery Rock. Hopkins with yet another touchdown. 42-40, Indiana within 2 of Grand Rapids.
All we need is a clean kick off the net and field it clean, and we can get up the bit.
Got to get the middle guy, man.
Let's go, man. We got to rock and roll on this. Score on 3. Return middle. Score on 3. 1, 2, 3. Score.
See how simple it is? You just get a clean fielding off the net,
Right.
and then you run and you score. Now, how hard can that be?
Easier said than done for Grand Rapids here today.
Watch the kickoff, and we'll see where the ball goes. And then you understand how hard it is and why it's so hard.
Nelson Garner's missed a couple of extra points, but he's done a great job of making it extremely difficult for Grand Rapids to play it off the net. And remember, a deep man, Willis Marshall, has to turn his back on the oncoming traffic. High off the nets. This one over the crossbar as Marshall spins his way, weaves his way through, and high steps his way over the 10-yard line. Dropped at about the 14 for Grand Rapids. So a nice return by Willis Marshall, the rookie out of Youngstown.
Well, Willis Marshall, there's a job I think that would be very difficult. You're watching the ball come in, but where it's going to hit, where it's going to go, you have no idea. But as good a job as you can do, and then when the ball hits in the middle of the net and it dies there and it just falls down, and fielding it and getting a nice return of 14 yards.
I might have a few butterflies returning one in the National Football League, but when you turn your back, you have no idea where that ball is going to hit on the net. Dazell over the middle has his man, Ricky Ross. Ross jukes his way around to the 15. So Ricky Ross has really stepped up. 63 grabs during the regular season, about 10 yards per grab, 13 touchdowns with Michael Baker hobbling. Ricky Ross has definitely been the go-to guy for Clint Dazell.
Yeah, and Dazell really patient there and allowing that to mature and develop. Ross holding it to the outside and then breaking underneath as the coverage moved towards the wall and vacated the middle of the field.
7 grabs now for 94 yards. It's about 13.5 yards per catch. And the 1 touchdown for Ricky Ross.
Here's a place you like to run that screen. Let's see if they do it.
Dazell, 2-step drop, finds his man. This time it's Marshall. He spins, he gets belted, but not before he goes inside the 10-yard line.
Chris Avery's area here. I think their fullback, Chris Avery, the last time they got down here, they gave him the football. And you talk about a man possessed.
Dazell really has a nice command of this game, you know, with the success Kurt Warner's had with the St. Louis Rams. I wonder if sooner or later Dazell will, I mean, he's been in camp, but I wonder if he'll stick with some NFL team because the right system, right situation really has it down pat in this league, no doubt. Dazell quickly, right over the middle again. It's Marshall. Good defense that time. 3 white jerseys. There's Hopkins. There's Cornelius Cove. Muhammad all around the football. Gain of only maybe 1 or 2 on the play. Chris Avery, big game last week. 18.5 yards a carry for Grand Rapids.
And not a factor right here on this drive. He's on the sideline right now. And Lincoln Coleman actually out in the fullback spot. But 5 rushing touchdowns last week alone.
And that tied an AFL postseason record. Dazell has completed his last 5. Now he has the football at about the 6.5-yard line, but it's 3rd down for the Rampage. Big Lincoln Coleman's in the backfield. Dazell is going to call a timeout to talk things over. So Clint Dazell in his 6th year out of East Texas State.
Through and everything else.
Well, you hate to give up a timeout here. You really, that.
All right. I got. Who they got in? They got Santos, they got 54 in. We're going to stretch them. Who? We're going to stretch them. Yeah. We're tripped right, 39 stretch. 74.
See, now what they're talking about there, the interior lineman, the big fellas up front. He doesn't feel we can run at him, so they're going to try to stretch him, get some movement, and run the football.
Lock up and drive him out. You're guard. Lock him out. We're going to stretch, okay? Hey, Lincoln, we need a yard, okay?
Big Lincoln Coleman, you heard him, they need a yard. He was once the 2nd leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys behind Emmitt Smith. Be interesting to see if big number 44, the veteran.
Here we go. Let's go.
Gets the call.
Wide motion. Let's go. 39 stretch. On, ready?
So Lincoln Coleman will line up behind Clint Dazell. The ball just shy of the 6-yard line. 3rd down. Grand Rapids 3 for 3 in 3rd downs here today. Lincoln Coleman gets the call, cuts back, and he's got the touchdown. Lincoln Coleman. Grew up across the street from Tim Brown. Used to play sandlot football with Tim Brown, and the fifth-year man out of Baylor, the former Dallas Cowboy, takes it in for the touchdown.
Mike, you can see why they stretch it. If you stretch it this way, you influence people this way. That's why you get the cutback lane here. The thought process is very good. Stretch him, influence that way. Then a nice job by Lincoln Coleman, being patient, getting in the cutback, not the yard they needed. Actually, 5 more and a touchdown.
It's a nice cutback, Merrill, considering he carries 266 pounds on his frame as Gowans comes on, and he's perfect this afternoon, and Grand Rapids grabs a little bit more of that ball if they could keep Indiana from striking back. Big Lincoln Coleman with the score, and it's 49-40 Grand Rapids. So Dalzell leads him down again, and Lincoln Coleman gets the rushing touchdown. Coleman, who started at Notre Dame, went to Baylor, transferred out. Van Johnson back, the former Temple Owl, and now it's a 9-point game again. But Michael Trigg, as far as building momentum, Indiana's been like flies at a picnic because they've been pesky coming back.
But somewhere in this game, Indiana's going to have to decide to go for 2 because of the 2 extra points they have missed.
Gowans with the kick. This time he goes over the crossbar, and Van Johnson says, no, thank you. You know, I mentioned that Clint Dozzell has a great command of this game in the AFL, but there's no doubt he really enjoys calling his own plays in the huddle.
Calling my own plays. You know, I get in the rhythm out there. I try to set plays up for the next play. You know, I consider everything a completion. So, I go on my next play in my head and try to think what to do out there. And I think that's what makes a good coach. When I become a coach in this league, I think the quarterback knows what's going out there more than anybody, and he knows what can hurt the defense and what can help himself.
Well, Dozzell against Indiana earlier this year, both games he was named the MVP in the AFL for the week. Hopkins drops that one. Before that pass, Filia had completed 5 straight. 3 of the 5 had gone for touchdowns.
Dozzell, you see his numbers on the day. Anytime I think you have players that can call their own plays, quarterbacks, I mean, it is a huge advantage because you heard him mention the rhythm. I mean, you understand the flow. You talk in the huddle. You know what your players feel strong about, what you know has been successful, why you ran a play, and why you're setting up another play. Huge advantage for him, and this paid off, especially on that running touchdown.
Second down after the incompleted pass. Filia had his eyes locked on Hopkins. He has some running room. He's tripped up over the midfield stripe, goes down at about the 20-yard line, maybe the 21. Greg Hopkins still owns 9 records at Slippery Rock. Penalty flag might be pulling this one back, however. It's amazing how you talk.
Number 49 on the offense. Half the distance from the previous spot. Second down.
So the infraction goes against Aaron Johnson, the 6'5", 302-pounder out of Ball State.
Now look at the right of your screen here. You'll see where the holding takes place. Boy, once you get your shoulders turned around that defensive guy and you become in the trail position and you're still hanging on to him, that's what the officials are looking for.
Filia feeling the pressure, loose football, touchdown. Joe Wiley, the 340-pounder out of Stephen F. Austin. He spent some time with the Raiders and the Titans. Well, this time he's got the big touchdown. The ball was laying there. Too good to be true. Joe Wiley jumps on it for the touchdown for Michael Trigg.
You know, it's one thing creating a turnover. It's a complete other being able to create a turnover and score off of it. And we've talked about momentum and things went back and forth, but this one at this point in the game is as big for Grand Rapids as anything that's happened.
I agree with you 100% because we mentioned Indiana's been like flies at a picnic being so pesky, but that might have been the big turnover that Michael Trigg was looking for. During the regular season, Grand Rapids was only -7 compared to Indiana's +20 as far as the turnover ratio. Gowans drills it through again, so he's having a big day. As is Clint Dozzell.
Well, one of the keys is pressure on the quarterback. And you'll see the low angle. They do a nice job of, boy, getting his arm out there right there at the end, Manuel doing a super job of effort, pushing the pressure back and then getting that arm out there in the last second. And then the big fella with the spike. Watch this come around. And watch his left arm. You talk about effort. Now you're under his pads. You're moving him back. Now you control him. What a great sense of awareness, too, to be able to see that ball and go for it. I mean, that's a super individual effort by Manuel.
Oh, great camera work there. Joe Wiley.
Joe Wiley with at least a 12-inch vertical there. At least.
Oh, plenty of time left, but Raymond Filia, he's been around the league long enough to know that once they get into that fourth quarter, you got to grab some of that momentum back from Grand Rapids.
Well, you know, Indiana has avoided a lot of setbacks through the course of this game. Still with 2:54 in the third quarter, there's plenty of time. But this one really hurts because it's a turnover, number one, and each one of these teams will signal to one thing to win a championship or games in this league is turnovers. And when you get immediate points off of it, that really hurts.
Really impressed with Van Johnson and his teammates in Tampa a week ago, but considering Grand Rapids, some people thought Chicago would sneak in here and pull off the upset last week. Grand Rapids really seems focused. They have their sights set on the Arena Bowl championship. But I got to tell you, it's Pat Sperduto and these Nashville Cats after losing in the last seconds against Orlando.
That'll be assessed on the first play after the kickoff.
The penalty going against the kicking team.
Excessive celebration, huh?
Yeah, got to calm down and play some football. Here's so many coaches say, okay, enjoy the moment.
Well, that has been one.
Move on.
That has been one thing, Mike. You know, when they have had momentum on their side, they have found ways to give it back. And this is going to be a result. You're going to get a return. Wherever that goes, there's going to be yardage tacked on.
So Van Johnson, the deep man, awaiting Gowan's kick. Take a look at Ryan and Polk. Ready to head down. Here they go. Johnson. That's the second straight time that Johnson was unable to return the kick as Gowans drills it into the stands. So the ball goes to the 5, and then they tack on the penalty. So Indiana will start at the 10-yard line.
50 hitch, swing post.
Hey, let's go. I'll back this wall. I'll back this wall. Let's go. Let's go. Strong ace swing. Wing loop. 50 hits. Wing post. I want ready.
Well, it's another one of those combinations where they're going to get a motion guy. He's going to go to the post.
Shoot.
It will be Eddie, and they'll try to do a hitch route if Eddie's not there.
Filia straight back, going right down the middle, looking for Eddie Brown. Off his fingertips. JoJo Polk defending on the play, but Eddie Brown had him beat by a step, but just overshot by inches. Grand Rapids holding Chicago to 7 second-half points in the 53-21 win a week ago. And now after that touchdown by Joe Wiley, opening up a 56-40 lead.
Well, that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to see if they could take a shot with Eddie early. They got it. They just missed it.
So Filia and the Firebirds facing a second down. Minute 54 to go before we head to the final quarter here in Grand Rapids. Filia, plenty of time looking and finding Van Johnson. Looks like he stepped out of bounds, or he was driven out just shy of the 15-yard line.
Yeah, that was very interesting right there. You're in a desperate situation in a sense. You're backed up at second down. You keep your two main guys in. There's Hopkins. Eddie Brown's over here. Right there, he shows up, and it's just Johnson's time. You got to win. I mean, that is a big-time call. And a lot of pressure on Johnson tells you what they think about that young man to put him in that position.
Boy, it is a good call. Actually, you think it
Yeah, gutsy call.
Off guard. Two of their better receivers not even going out. There's Eddie Brown, 5-time scoring champ. Kind of stumbles towards the 10-yard line. We're inside Van Andel Arena in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. The top seed, the AFL postseason. Alongside Merrill Hodge, I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you aboard on ESPN2. Final 45 seconds of the third quarter. It's 56-40. But the Firebirds of Indiana moving the chains again. couple of years ago, Grand Rapids lost to 2 Albany Firebirds, opening round of the playoffs. Here's Hopkins, puts his head down and drives forward inside the 5-yard line, stopped at about the 4.
Now, Indiana has found ways to run the football. They're not a big running team. It's not one of their strengths. But when they have had success, it has been because they've got the ball into Eddie Brown's hands if they're going to run the football. Really, quite honestly, both ways. Hopkins has been the most successful guy here today as far as receiving goes. Eddie Brown running the football.
Well, time has expired in the 3rd quarter here from Grand Rapids. So we're going to take a timeout. We're heading for the final 15 minutes. The winner goes to the Arena Bowl championship. Michael Trigg watching Indiana, trying to hang in there, but right now it's 56-40. Grand Rapids on top by 16. And there's some Grand Rapids here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Beautiful part of the country, about 45 minutes from Lake Michigan. Back inside Van Andel Arena, the final 15 minutes. The winner goes to the Arena Bowl championship. 4th quarter action. Remember, we mentioned the Albany Firebirds beating Grand Rapids by 10 2 years ago in the playoffs. The Birds went on to win the championship. Last year, Grand Rapids losing in the opening round at Nashville. Grand Rapids really banged up. If they should win, they'll play Nashville again.
Right. You see what they have done in the 4th quarter, and a lot of people refer to the Grand Rapids team, and you look at that statistic as well. You know what, they squeeze things out at the end. Quite honestly, I look at it as their finishers. They know how to complete a game, they know how to do it in grand style. Big stop for him right here.
Goes upstairs. Any indication? No, incomplete.
That was a very interesting play. Eddie Brown goes up for the ball. Both guys disappear into the wall, and then just moments later, here comes a ball rolling out.
You know, they have a lot less real estate than the National Football League, but kind of a fade pattern you see in the NFL. And Eddie went up and he just wasn't throwing far enough.
And what, you know, the key right there, what they're trying to do is the receiver go up and get it at the highest point and bring it down.
That's a good point. Maybe it was thrown far enough, but not high enough. Here we go. Big Leroy Thompson. He'll go in for the touchdown. A 6-foot, 260-pounder out of Delaware State. Had 11 touchdowns during the regular season. He's back in the end zone, and Indiana's back in this football game. So Mike Daly, all right, we're going for 2.
And you knew at some point they're going to have to do this. You've got to try to even this game up, because the way it sits now, if you kick this extra point, you need a touchdown and a field goal.
That's the 4th rushing touchdown of the game combined with the 2 teams. Twin receivers now at the bottom of your screen. Now Eddie Brown in motion, going for 2. Filia is going to go upstairs, looking right, finds his man. Hopkins has the 2-point conversion, pays the price. JoJo Polk drills him into the boards. But the 2-point conversion makes it 56-48. So if Hopkins isn't making the tackle or the touchdown, he's pulling down the 2. More drama in Grand Rapids.
All the excitement.
Oh, what a play!
The right sideline has a man. Touchdown.
All the drama.
19 yards. The distance between the championship and overtime. The kick is up.
All the glory.
It's good. The Orlando Predators are the champions of Arena Bowl 14.
The Arena Football League's Arena Bowl 15 Championship. This Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC Sports. Arena Football. Get it all.
Ricky Ross, that's his vantage point, awaits the kick from Nelson Garner. 2-point conversion. Now we have a 56-48 ball game. And Indiana simply won't go away. Grand Rapids having their opportunities to just grab Big Mo and drag him into the locker room and keep him, but Indiana keeps coming back. Boy, great job by Ricky Ross just to retrieve that kick. He runs into Avery, and he goes down at about the 6-yard line. Again, it's Hopkins making the tackle. So you talk about missed opportunities, Merrill. This pretty much tells it all.
You know, it's a huge 2-point conversion, though, for Indiana. You can see all the miscues Indiana has dealt with in this game. Grand Rapids being very successful in what they have done when they have got the football. They're very clean as far as scoring touchdowns. The missed field goal, the 2 missed PATs, but that 2-point conversion for Indiana now puts them in a position to be 8 down. That means a touchdown and another 2-point conversion would tie this game up.
Dalzell ready to work. Goes up to the top of the screen. Willis Marshall grabs it at about the 10-yard line. You have to be impressed, though, with Indiana. Last week in Chicago, Billy Dicken was 9 of 25, 119 yards and a touchdown, as Chicago scored on 3 of 10 possessions. Well, Grand Rapids grabbing the momentum, but Indiana just keeps coming back, making it a ball game and hanging in there.
Well, we're dealing with 2 teams that truly believe they'll win a championship, and they're good enough to win a championship, but your belief doesn't die in a quarter. You have, that has to be beaten out of you in 4 quarters, not just 1, 2, or 3.
Very quickly, Ross, and even quicker, Van Johnson up to make the defensive stop. Forward progress will get him back to the line of scrimmage. At best, possibly a loss of a half a yard on the play. Well, Wednesday night, ESPN Classic pays tribute to Neon Deion Sanders. Primetime starting at 7. Relive the highlights of Primetime's career from the Seminoles of Florida State through the National Football League and more. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC or call your local cable provider. Boy, Deion Sanders, huh? I'd like to see him play high school ball. I guess he was something else, baseball and football.
Go!
Back to live action here. Clint Dalzell very quickly, 2-step drop, looking and finding Shaw. Touchdown! Wow, talk about a backbreaker there. Dalzell quickly goes to Terrell Shaw. Well, what a story Shaw is, though. 23 touchdowns during the regular season in only 8 games, considering Buffalo didn't want him anymore.
And you have Coe, your best defensive back on in the matchup you would like, and Shaw just flat blows right by him.
And here comes Brian Gowans. 62-48. Gowans perfect on the afternoon. Drills it through. So Gowans with 143 points in the regular season, splits the uprights. 63-48. Shaw is flipping. Well, it's Indiana's turn. That's the way the ball game's been going. 63-48. Keep in mind the last time they played it was 80-74. And right now, Van Johnson with another opportunity. Also keep in mind that Brian Gowans has kept the football out of the hands of Van Johnson the last 2 times. He's been unable to return it because he's kicked it either under or over the crossbar into the stands. And boy, that's a big help when the guy can't return the football. You get it on the 5-yard line. There's the kick. This one is heading for the crossbar again, and he's successful. This time Van Johnson gets it. And he gets a handle on it. He's over the 5. Penalty flag dropped at about the 10-yard line. Johnson's still on his feet. He said, I'm going to block somebody. Oh, John Sikora was standing there, and Van Johnson said, come on, buddy. I know the penalty flag's dropped, but I'm still running, so run and hit somebody.
Yeah, he ran right by Polk, and Polk knew that he had been flipped or something that happened. He was trying to point to the official of the infraction as Johnson ran right by him again.
Return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So half the distance to the goal puts it at about the, well, just shy of the 4-yard line. Clock is running. 15 minutes per quarter, down to 10:35. 10:35 and counting for the Firebirds. Can they come back from the 63-48 deficit? Could be Eddie Brown time. Billiard looking for Brown. Good pressure, and the ball falls shy of his intended mark. Penalty flag down at about the 1-yard line. Billiard's had some pretty good time, but that time the bull rush was on. It looks like the penalty flag's still against Indiana.
See, this is an area you got to be really careful in your play calling. The momentum is on Grand Rapids' side. Leaving your quarterback in the pocket, go down the field, I think it's a mistake right now.
Holding, offense, number 33. It's declined, second down.
Here's where you come with some type of a screen, either wide receiver or from your back or tight end. Something simple to get you out of this predicament. You know, get some momentum going.
Raymond Fillion, #1 rating in the league as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Now the sands of the hourglass are ticking away. Again, good pressure, and Eddie Brown can't come up with the football. So the last 2 times, Fillion's really felt the pressure.
Well, Grand Rapids really has done a nice job here in the second half of changing their coverages up. Switching them up, and I think Fillion was a little confused and hesitated there for a moment because he wasn't sure what was going on. Boy, took a shot to boot.
I think it hurt his hand a little bit. Plus he got
sometimes hits like that, they look like they're insignificant, but those are oftentimes the ones that are so bad.
Big third down play here. The ball at the 3-yard line. Fillion looking left, coming over the middle, finds his man. Hopkins good for the first down. Boy, that play is huge as you see the clock running at 9 minutes. They turn it over at that juncture, and now Grand Rapids really could start putting the clamps down. But Hopkins comes through with the reception from Fillion.
And Hopkins did a nice job of kind of a double move with his route. You don't want to go at it, but quite honestly, it's what you have to do when it's 3rd and 10. Very interesting. Like, dire straits. Need somebody to step up. It's been Hopkins for him today.
Indiana 3 of 4 now, 3rd down conversions. They have it first down at the 20-yard line. Fillion dropped the football. Lincoln Coleman, who already has the touchdown, comes up with the pigskin. Penalty flag drop at about the midfield stripe. Grand Rapids, all the players indicating their football.
Well, it depends on what the official calls here. If he calls illegal motion, the fumble's nullified. Play being blown dead. Quite honestly, I think that's just a fumble, and that's a Grand Rapids ball.
Illegal motion on the offense. The back move too soon. Penalties decline. Recovery first down.
Well, we saw Joe Wiley fall on a fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. Now Lincoln Coleman comes up with a big one. There's 2 big turnovers for Grand Rapids.
Well, Mike, you can talk to any coach, any player in arena football, and when you talk to them about, what are some of the keys, what are the things that have to happen to you to win, the first thing out of everybody's mouth is always turnover. Always.
Oh, they're so big in this football game. Dazell fumbles the football. Indiana has it back. 2 poised quarterbacks. It's rare you see that. Back-to-back plays. What are the chances?
And who recovers it? Greg Hopkins. I mean, the guy has made, these oftentimes are the biggest plays of games, but how this happens right after you get the ball back is beyond me. Beyond me.
Oh, I'll tell you, if you would have bet me, what are the chances Dazell is going to do the same thing? Pulled back a little bit too quickly.
And see, only he knows there's a fumble that has occurred. Obviously, linemen are moving back. Hard to go hit that ball.
Well, Filio's going to talk things over. He only has 7:44 to work with. A timeout Indiana, so we're going to take a timeout here from Grand Rapids. Don't go away. If they score, they're right back in it at 63-48 Rampage. Well, Indiana's taken part in 2 of the 5 of the 15 highest combined scores in history were recorded this year. One of them was an 80-74 loss to Grand Rapids. Right now, 48 points on the board, 7:44 on the clock.
Something about this game, though, Indiana has always been able to stay alive regardless of how far they've gotten behind.
Fillion, first down. Near side, it's Van Johnson. He's inside the 15, down close to the 12-yard line. Clock running at 7:35.
And clearly this is a situation where you need a touchdown. You can't settle for 3 points. I think you're now in 4-down territory from here on out. I don't think a field goal would even come into the realm of thinking.
And with 7:20 to go, they need a touchdown and possibly a turnover.
Or a stop.
Or a stop, which is synonymous with a turnover, I guess. Inside, slant pattern, complete to Van Johnson. Stopped at about the 7. He pushes the football to the 6-yard line. Tomorrow night on ESPN, it's NFL preseason action as Keyshawn Johnson and the Tampa Bay Bucks host the Dolphins of Miami. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern with Monday Night Countdown. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Zillia, straight drop back, looking, and there he has Eddie Brown again. Eddie Brown spends more time in the end zone.
Hence the word touchdown, Eddie Brown.
94, 96, 98, 99, 2001. Scoring titles, 270 points in the regular season. And Eddie Brown, he said after the Tampa Bay game, I'm the go-to guy, so I've got to step up big time. Well, if there's ever a situation, it's right now. 63-54. Indiana will try to get that football back as soon as possible. Garner settled down nicely after missing 2 extra points in the first half. This one's right through the uprights. And we're going to take another timeout from Grand Rapids. Less than 6 minutes to go. Phil Yod at number 17. A familiar sight for the Firebirds. Here we go, under 6 minutes to go. 63-55. Indiana won't go away. Grand Rapids, the number 1 seed. Now the previous 14 number 1 seeds, 12 have made it to the Arena Bowl championship. Only 4 winning championships. The Grand Rapids are feeling the heat now as Indiana trying to get that football back, but that's not going to help right there as Nelson Garner kicks it out of bounds. So Grand Rapids gets it not at the 5, but the 20-yard line.
Mike, one of the things when you get down closer to the scoring territory, to maximize the field, put all 3 receivers on one side. Hopkins really been the hot guy. They try to double him. He does a pull-away route, and that leaves Eddie Brown the entire field to work with. Nice job of design here. Hop pulls away. You can see both guys doubling. That leaves Eddie singled up in the slot area, bringing him across the field and all that room to work with. I don't know anybody in this league is going to cover Eddie in that situation.
The hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball, but might be going one-on-one with somebody in the Arena Football League.
Like Eddie.
Pump fake. Zell comes back to Odoms. He's at the midfield stripe. Forward progress, so bring it back to about the 25. 5:25 to go. Grand Rapids holds on. They're headed for the Arena Bowl championship. It'll be held right here in Grand Rapids.
It's becoming critical time for Indiana in that the defense has to do one of 2 things: a stop or create a turnover. What's going to be even more difficult is because Dalzell is a guy who's going to be disciplined. He's only going to throw the ball when the guy's open, and he's going to throw it to the open guy.
That is completed. His last 9 attempts. Dalzell coming down near side. This one's incomplete through the fingertips of Ricky Ross, but Ross having a big game for Michael Trigg.
Well, if you're Indiana, this is what you want right now. A 3rd and 5, about midfield.
Third down. Dalzell calls his own plays, has great command of the game. Remind me, I want to say something about the offensive coordinator here for Grand Rapids, though. Sparky McEwen, busy time of the year for him right after this play. Big 3rd down play for Grand Rapids. Got to use that clock or score. Coming back left side all alone. Why not score? So you can have the clock. I'm going to find Terrell Shaw for yet another touchdown for the combination.
Mike, that's been the MO for Indiana secondary all day. They have done a terrific job of running coverages. Watch Shaw as he comes in motion to the right side. Now they let him go. They let him go right now. Coe is in the back, should cover him. He played to the other side of the field and leaves Shaw wide open. It's happened a couple times today. You know, they've done a great job on the short routes. They drive on the football, they make the tackle. They get him in long yardage situations, and then they blow the coverage.
How many fingertip grabs do we see in professional football? And when you're wide open like that, you can just see Shaw kind of like, don't drop this one.
Baby, don't let me drop this.
Ryan Gowans has had a perfect day. So Dozell with another touchdown. This time to Shaw again. 70-55 Grand Rapids. Arena Football on ESPN2 is brought to you by Ford. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Well, Grand Rapids, they've been Ford tough here today, answering the call, putting 70 points on the board, up by 15 with 3:19 to go.
Well, Mike, right here, Coe comes back here. The strength over here is the wide receivers, because there's two there. He plays to that side. He had the deep half on the other side of the field, where Shaw ends up running his route, and he blew it. And quite honestly, this is a product of a good quarterback. You're trying to run different coverages to confuse him, throw him off his rhythm, and it backfired. You threw your own self off the rhythm, and you exposed yourself and gave up and made a mental bust. And a guy like Dalzell, he's going to find the open guy. That's the one thing he has done consistently all year.
A lot of good quarterbacks in this league, but I'm really impressed with how he handles himself, how he buys time as he drops back. Van Johnson awaiting the kick. Live football. This one's going to be tough in the corner. Johnson went out of bounds. So Van Johnson gets a break there, and they will take it at the 5-yard line. Well, the winner goes to the championship game, and next week on ABC, it's the finals, the Arena Bowl Championship. Live 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson, Lynn Swan, and the ABC crew here for all the marbles. The Arena Bowl on ABC. And right now, as we approach the 3-minute mark, it looks like it might be right here in Grand Rapids. Filia trying to get some instant offense and points. Van Johnson fighting his way. Extra effort doesn't help as Ricky Ross comes over to put the finishing touch on. He's up to about the 10-yard line. We're in Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's the home of the Rampage, and it looks like it might be the home of the Arena Bowl Championship next game. Alongside Merrill Hodge, I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you on board. And coming up next on ESPN2, today at the races. Right after this football game, as you can see, 2:27 to go. Filia, wide open, Johnson up against the boards. Did he step out of bounds? I don't think so. Remember, you can hit the boards and bounce back into the field of play as long as you don't step on that boundary line. JoJo Pope coming up to make the stop. Filia has completed his last 6 passes now.
Let's look at his feet. That's what's critical. No, he's out. Actually, the official didn't even call it either. He was going to continue to let him to play.
Time might be wasting away for Indiana. Filia, Hopkins, complete, but a penalty flag dropped at about the 18-yard line. You know, as I look over at that Indiana bench, one story that keeps popping into my head, Merrill, before we go off the air. There's a guy over there, number 21, by the name of Mike Leaks. Now, Carl Sacco couldn't play because of a hamstring today. Mike Leaks fills his spot. And before we hear the call, I want to tell you that when he tried out for this football team, he went to the wrong arena. He walked 10 miles to get his tryout, and he slept outside the arena.
33 out of the box. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
You talk about perseverance and determination, and that explains this young man to do all of that.
Oh, that's a great story. Walking 10 miles.
Determination. He's going to play, and here he is today.
And the coaching staff said it wasn't even that. He had a great tryout, so here he is on this football team. But they might not be playing in the championship. They have 90 seconds to make up some ground here on the scoreboard. Van Johnson, that's good for the first down inside the 15-yard line. But 15-point deficit with 1:18 to go might be a little bit too much. Once again, don't forget, coming up next right after the game, today at the races on ESPN2. As we approach the minute mark, Philyaw facing the 1st and 10, but finds his man over on the far sidelines. It's complete again. That time it's Eddie Brown, but again, time is of the essence.
With a little time here, I want to go back to 2 plays where the penalty was called on Grand Rapids for number 33 being out of the box. The linebacker, the Jack linebacker the Jill linebacker, excuse me, has to match up with the quarterback. He cannot leave the box area unless the quarterback leaves. And in that case, he did leave, so the penalty went on Grand Rapids.
Thank you for that clarification, Philyaw. Another touchdown. This time it's Van Johnson on the receiving end of the Philyaw touchdown. So 51 seconds to go. 70-61. Remember, Indiana already with 1 2-point conversion. Now Mike Daly. They'll be calling for the 2 again. 50 seconds to go.
Now this point obviously critical because you make this, you put yourself in a position with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie this game up. What do you got to make a decision after this? If he makes it, do you do an onside kick?
Well, Garner splits it too. You can tell he was thinking about that one, though.
Yeah, well.
70-62. 50 ticks on the clock left here from Grand Rapids. It's down to an 8-point ball game. Remember, 60-59 in overtime. Grand Rapids beat this Indiana team. 80-74. They beat them a second time, and now they're going for the hat trick. And the old adage in sports, it's so tough to beat a team 3 times, but you kind of disagree with that.
I do. It's happened so many times the other way that I don't know why it's that adage, because, you know, one team gets beat on the 3rd time, and everybody's like, well, you can't beat a team 3 times, but clearly there's been a lot of teams in a lot of sports where you've swept 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it happens all the time. Now, it's very interesting here, the strategy involved. You know, the onside kick almost assures you if you do not recover it, if Indiana does not recover this, the game is over. But you kick it off, you haven't been able to stop him all day. Dalzell is one of those guys that's going to pick you apart. He's going to take what you give him. So he's not going to make a mistake. You have 2 timeouts. They have 2 timeouts. I think you do the onside kick and you gamble now.
Well, what kind of hands do we have up there on the front line? We've got Avery, Odoms, it's a fullback and a receiver.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, if you're Indiana, you focus out in this area right here. Here's where your big hogs are. Get the ball in that area. Not over here where all the skill guys are.
Odoms a receiver, Avery and Ryan, both fullbacks up front. Marshall, Ross on the second line. That's Tony Bowick on the far left, and it's a high kick, live ball.
What a brilliant kick.
Indiana, penalty flag, back at the 3-yard line, and Nelson Garner is beside himself.
One of the nicest kicks I've seen, and unfortunately, I think somebody a little anxious there and went off sides.
Oh, Garner was upset. That was a perfect kick. He bounced it up, and it was a jump ball. Indiana came down with it.
You got some conversing here, so I guess we can't rush the adjustment here.
Yeah, you called it.
I can say this, though. You got to come back with the same kick. That kick is hard. Watch this kick. Watch how much air it gets. Yeah, right here. You got the offsides.
Actually, 2 guys were over the line.
Yeah, with the barbershop's getting into my train of thought. Air, not hair. I think that now they're discussing, is it a re-kick?
Only if we are offside. Only if we are offside.
Dalzell's telling him.
He knows the rule book,
Yeah,
too.
well, decline it. Well, and
Listen, there are no re-kicks in arena football. If they foul and they have dirty hands, we get the ball. We're trying to figure out what to do with the penalty, that's all. Huddle up.
So it's going to be Grand Rapids football regardless. The official just telling Michael Trigg, who's trying to figure out what to do with the penalty.
Dirty hands. I like that term. Well, that's too bad. Brilliant design of an onside kick. And as far as it being kicked, was perfect. I mean, couldn't ask for anything more.
So Dazell back on the field. Mike Daly, 53 seconds to go. They did what they had to do. Said, what are you going to do as a head coach when somebody causes the yellow laundry to be dropped on the field again? So Grand Rapids are grabbing the momentum.
And the kicking team. The receivers are awarded the ball at the spot of recovery. We check the yardage on first down.
Well, Nelson Garner, after missing a couple of extra points in the field goal, kicked well. And that was a perfect onside kick. But Michael Trigg looks right now, barring any unforeseen tragedy on the Grand Rapids side. It's like the Rampage will be back here again next week on ABC against the Nashville Cats. And they keep it on the ground. It's going to go for 6. Chris Ryan gets the touchdown. Clint Dazell sitting down on his seat saying, hey, we're supposed to beat up the clock, but I'll take a touchdown. 76-62.
Well, you have Avery, you have Ryan, who just scored, Coleman. I'm surprised they don't go to the ground game more often. I mean, they have just been aggressive. They've controlled the line of scrimmage, and these backs, I mean, have run with great authority.
Remember last week in Tampa, we talked about the fact the team that ran the ball more, at least 9 times or more, won 70% of the games.
You know, stats, in my opinion, don't lie, nor do they necessarily always tell the truth. But I think that's a clear indicator. If you can run the football, you're controlling the tempo of the game, you have a balanced attack.
Well, let's take a look at our built Ford tough plays of the game. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Then Dazell doing a great job of buying some time. Pump fake twice, and it's late in the first half. Find his receiver for the touchdown, Michael Baker. Another pump fake and buying some more time for Clint Dazell.
And what he has done, aside from all of that too, Mike, is he has been perfect in his reads and where the ball is to go.
At the end of the season, Ford will award the Built Tough Player of the Year, the new Ford F-250 truck. Clint Dazell, once again, putting up some huge numbers. Averaging 8 touchdowns a game against Indiana this year. Lighting the scoreboard up here this afternoon. Coming up right after the game, today at the races on ESPN2. And we're under a minute to go here from Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids. So during the regular season, Grand Rapids putting 57 points on the board, averaging 53 in the postseason with their win over Chicago, and 77 points on the board now. Pretty impressive against this Indiana defense.
I think it makes for a great Arena Bowl championship. Nashville, terrific team, and Grand Rapids have shown today they are a complete team also.
There's a low kick. It hits the bar. Eddie Brown will pick it up in the end zone and back out again. Step over the 10. Clock is ticking. He's at the 15-yard line. He's going down at about the 14. Down to 38 seconds to go before the Rampage faithful rush the field, and Grand Rapids, the #1 seed, will be heading for the championship game.
Well, as you can see in arena football, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of anticipation. Momentum shifts back and forth. But it oftentimes comes down to a turnover. You know, a miscue somewhere in the read or the net or the bars.
Phil Yacht trying to boost his numbers. Boy, how often do we see that? Guys with sure hands late in the ball game, going over the middle.
Yeah, you know, Mike, that's where, at this point in the game, you're already thinking touchdown and what you got to do after the catch versus make it a catch and then go.
60. Stop. 8th quarter. On one. Ready?
33 seconds to go. Van Johnson now. Wide right to the top of your screen. Hopkins in motion, the same direction. Filia stops, fires, has his man over the midfield stripe. It's Johnson for the first down. 4 seconds off the clock, down to 29 seconds.
You know, I don't want to sound ridiculous here.
But you're not going to tell me that they can score 2 touchdowns.
I'm telling you that I've watched enough arena football, been around it long enough to know this. You manage the clock well right now with 29 seconds. You still have 2 timeouts left. You score here, you execute that onside kick like you did in the first half without the offsides. You probably still have 11 seconds, which is plenty of time to score. A lot of what ifs there, but we've seen it happen before.
Well, Filia, the final 29 seconds. Here we go. It's complete again. Numbers on the resume continue to build, but they're still 17 yards away from pay dirt with 23 seconds to go. Need a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, a touchdown, and the extra point.
If you're Grand Rapids, that 24 seconds seems like 24 minutes. And if you're Indiana, 24 seconds is 24 seconds.
All right, big guy. When you go for 2, right after the first touchdown and the second touchdown.
The second. We get the extra point.
Filia coming back to the bottom of your screen. That's complete again. It's Eddie Brown. Final 20 seconds.
Actually wiped it off. Brings it down to 3rd down.
So big 3rd down play. Right after this play, we're going to get your final thoughts on the game, Merrill.
So I took right. Wing zone. 60 pin. Wing corner and hit. On one. Ready?
Indiana 3 of 4 on 3rd down conversions here in Grand Rapids this afternoon. Twin receivers to the top of your screen. Here we go. Final 20 seconds of the ball game. Winner goes to the championship. Almost picked off. You see who's playing the linebacker there. Nick Browder, the backup quarterback. Now, Clint Dozell is the only quarterback in the league with every attempt during the regular season this year. Browder's getting some playing time from the linebacker spot. Played it pretty well.
And you know, Mike, it's this point in the game I think we often forget.
Illegal defense, illegal twist, 75. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Now in arena football, you have to line up on a man and man for man. You can't be twisting and stunning like they do in the NFL. You have to just go one-on-one. But one thing that's often forgotten about at this point of every arena football game, these guys have went both ways all day long. They're tired. You're mentally fatigued. Now is when you got to find something extra.
Filia looking, and he had Hopkins, but a good defensive play that time by JoJo Pope. The 5'11" rookie out of Northeast State.
You know, JoJo done a nice job of, you know, sitting on Hopkins, not being too aggressive, being patient, and then coming with his left hand. Comes with the other hand, you're going to be on top of him and get a pass interference. You know, go back to 2 plays ago, that twisting penalty gave him a first down. It's big for Indiana.
Final 10 seconds of the game. Grand Rapids is going to the championship. Johnson, touchdown, his 2nd this afternoon. 7 seconds, he laps out the clock, so 3 seconds before they put this game in the history books. So Mike Daly down 77-68 2 years ago, the AFL Coach of the Year and the champion.
See, Mike, you know, Mike Daly is, yes, and he's right. The touchdown was over-signaled and the clock kept ticking, and Mike Daly did the right thing, and so did the officials. Now, 5 seconds, you got a chance for an onside kick, recover, and go this, because you still have a timeout.
Hard to believe, but a lot of points, a lot of excitement. Anything can happen. He missed the extra point, but it's a live football. It's a live football. It's still loose out there. And it's fallen on by Indiana.
Now, you said don't go for it.
Conversion right
I said wait. I think the
John Sikora out of Slippery Rock.
The mystery part of this game forced Indiana to go for it. It hits the bar, it's live. Indiana now has to recover it. Yes, Grand Rapids can also recover it and return it, but it's Indiana who is the lucky ones to recover this. Now that's a 2-point play.
Right.
You only need an extra point in order to tie this game up after a touchdown. You have 5 seconds left. There's no doubt the onside kick is coming here. If it's the same type of onside kick, what you have to be telling. Now, if you.
Now look at this.
Now, here we go.
Grand Rapids can't find the football. They know it's out there.
The scrum. It's a fight. Where is it?
So Big John Sikora comes up with a 2-point conversion.
But Sikora at the right place at the right time. Now, here's some of the strategy that's got to take place. Not only is the onside kick got to be executed perfectly, but you got to tell everybody, whoever recovers it, get a timeout. Immediately signal for a timeout. We only have 5 seconds. The clock's going to start once the ball is touched, not when it is kicked.
Gotcha. Once it's touched. So Michael Trigg said, I can't believe this. 77-70. Indiana simply won't go away. Don't forget the Arena Bowl Championship on ABC. Next Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Join Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson, Lynn Swan, and the entire ABC crew for the championship. Will it be Grand Rapids in Nashville, or will it be Indiana and the Cats?
They're going to pop it. They're going to pop it.
I think everybody in the arena knows that.
You know, Pat Sperduto sitting back in Nashville right now.
Ricky, if it goes in the air, go get it.
Yeah, see, now once it's touched, the clock will start. Not when it is kicked. That's important.
Why? I can be out here.
Now they've changed the strategy up a little bit. Grand Rapids has moved majority of the big hosses over in this area.
Here we go, coming into the Final Four. Grand Rapids have beaten all Final Four teams. They beat Indiana twice. They beat Nashville. They beat San Jose. Well, now, here we are, final 5 seconds before they find out if get another shot at Nashville. Here's the kick, and it's up. Loose football into the stands, a souvenir. It's going to be Grand Rapids football. Cornelius Coe, who set the single-season tackle record with 141, got his hands on it, but it flew up into the stands.
Receiver's ball at the spot, out of bounds, touching.
So they pick up the penalty flag. It's Grand Rapids football with 5 seconds to go. I don't think we're going to see a run or a pass on this play, Merrill. Oh, Cornelius Coe almost had his hands. He was trying to push it back to the middle of the field.
You know what I clearly think he should have done instead of push it back, grab it. He got both hands on it. You know, and I know, you know, some of the strategy is to knock it back into your teammates, but boy, at that position where you can get 2 hands on it, boy, you try to come down with it.
So Clint Dozell is headed for the Arena Bowl championship. Drops back, the lob, they're going for the scores. Now that is somewhat surprising. Penalty flags down.
Well, they're going to get Indiana for blitzing because you can't blitz.
Now why wouldn't Dozell take a knee?
Well, I wish I could answer that. We'd have to ask Michael Trigg.
Well, the Grand Rapids Rampage are headed for the championship. We'll check the brackets. The Nashville Cats will have to pack their bags and hit the road. They'll be playing in Van Andel Arena next week. Thanks for joining us again. For Merrill Hodge, this is Mike Gleason saying so long from Grand Rapids. Again, thanks for joining us. The final score, Grand Rapids 83 after scoring on the final play. Indiana 70. Up next on ESPN2. Today at the races, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Merrill Hodge and the entire ESPN 10-2 crew, this is Mike Gleason saying so long from Grand Rapids. Don't forget the finals, 3 o'clock Eastern, next Sunday on ABC Sports.